Damn, that's some big Dreamcast energy. Chants of Sennaar is a strong contender for my Game of the Year 2023. Big statement, I know, but let's see what we got going on here. On the surface, this is a cel-shaded action-adventure game very in keeping with the stuff that I already vibe with. But in fact, this game is entirely its own beast, and I really haven't played anything else quite like it. If you've heard of this one before, then you might know that the story is all about languages, and a lot of puzzles relying on deciphering glyphs and putting together words and phrases so you can understand what's going on around you. That's a pretty unique premise, I think. I'm sure one of those old point-and-click dealies from the 90s like Myst or whatever maybe had some similar stuff, but they aren't my bag and this is. Since this is still a relatively new game, I'll try not to spoil too many of the puzzles or twists, but I will have to show you a little bit of stuff from the early game just to give you an idea of how it all works. We start off with our little red robe dude waking up in this weird tomb or whatever it is, and then we get to trundling. After a nice tutorial section, we find ourselves in this desert town with cute little markets and houses and such. Problem is, all is not well in the world. If we go up to this gate here, we can see that these town folks want to get past and these sword lads won't let them. Why though? What's going on? What is through the gate that the dudes want to see, and why are the sword lads being such dicks about it all? These are the sorts of questions you'll find yourself asking throughout the course of the game. And by solving puzzles and learning the languages, you're going to make sense of it all. The game plot here is huge and complex and interwoven, plus none of it is in a real language initially, but by the end of the game, you will have translated everybody's dialogue into your own language, answered all your questions, and really gotten to the bottom of what's going on. Considering the game's only about 8 hours long, that's pretty intense. But it doesn't feel intense in the playing, it's actually really chilled out and vibey save for the occasional stealth section, or a few bits where you have to do timed jumps. Sometimes you just be riding in the minecar, or playing ye olde poker, or operating ye olde Flappy Bird, or petting ye olde cat. It's a good time honestly, and there's plenty of folks to talk to. Most of them are nice to you and will help you on your path. Now you might be wondering about that language learning mechanic, and I really think that that's one of the big charms of the game, so let's take a look at that now. The first time you hear or read a new word, your dude will jot the glyph down in his journal. You can then manually type what you think the word means. You probably won't always get it right, like when I thought this word here meant cat when it obviously doesn't. Thankfully, you can edit your guess at any time and it never becomes final until the game verifies it for you. You'll know when this happens because your dude will pull out some pictures and you have to match the relevant word to the relevant picture. Once you've done it right, the game will lock it in for you and then all of those words in the world will appear translated. I want to get into these mysterious vibes in a second, but just before I do, let me talk movement controls. I mentioned before that I don't really like point and click games. However, I saw somebody playing this on PC and it can indeed be controlled in that point and click style. I got it on the Switch, and in that version you just control your avatar with the thumbstick much like any 3D action or platform game, which I much prefer. This distinction might not matter to you in the slightest, but I wanted to mention it because I wouldn't enjoy this as a point and click. Not only do I feel like it would take me out of the immersion too much as I feel less in sync with my character, but I also feel like it would detract from those mysterious vibes I mentioned. This game is goddamn beautiful to look at, and a lot of the time the devs have lovingly set up these tracking shots for you to walk through where the camera swings up to reveal huge structures or sweeps out across dramatic vistas. I feel like that sort of stuff works better with the thumbstick control, but maybe that's just me. Anyway, this game is mysterious as all heck. And that is the one and only place I can draw some parallels to other stuff. The feeling of arriving in a strange and sort of hostile world reminded me of Morrowind. But then it also reminded me of Another World, since that also tells its story through clues and visuals. You don't know what's going on most of the time, but then when you figure the stuff out it really hits. You're often dependent on these other characters even when you can't understand them, so you form a sort of bond through trading and mutual respect. You don't even know the name of your little dude, but you certainly root for him. You do get a vibe for each of the civilizations too. It's not hard to see that the desert bros are falling on hard times and their crops aren't doing too good. But they are very religious and they seem to have a lot of faith. Likewise, when you get into Swordlad land, the whole thing is just a massive fortress with mighty stone walls and red hot foundries forging steel. They even got a big fuck off statue of a sword. It's clear to see that they are a warlike race, but you can also get the vibe that they respect duty and efficiency. I could go on of course, but I'm very keen not to spoil too much, and sadly any deep diving or talking about later game stuff would do just that. I will say that the plot is magnificent. At times it will move you, at times it will make you laugh, and many times it will make you confused. There are lots of twists and turns and it really plays with your expectations, but it's certainly an experience worth having. And so we'll leave it there for now. I certainly hope you enjoyed the video, friends, and if you did, please don't forget to hit those buttons. As always, if you're feeling super generous, you can kick into the Patreon and help me raise funds to buy more cool games. Any and all support is much appreciated. Until next time, my dudes, peace.